Alright guys, in today's video I have this huge, really large evaporator coil that I'm going to be taking apart and getting the copper out of. That's right, I'm scrapping this copper. Now I'm going to first start by getting all of these noodles all off the outside of it, and for that I'm going to be using my air hammer. I do think the air hammer is the easiest and most efficient way to remove the noodles off of this evaporator coil. And then I'm going to be working on this side as well, and I have to take off this shield, and then once the shield is off, I have access to the noodles on this side. So let's get right to it. In order to get to the copper noodles underneath of this panel, we have to remove this panel, and it's very easy. There's one screw here and one on the other side, which will require a 5/16 nut driver. Removing both of those screws now gives us access to the nice copper noodles underneath. Now let's take this outside and start hacking away at these noodles using my air chisel. Now this is the air chisel I'm using. This is actually pretty old, I believe. Just a simple air chisel like this will do. And the only thing holding it together is this 5/16 bolt. So we're going to remove this to separate both of them and have take care of one at a time. So let's do that. And just like the other side, there is one more on this side, and then I will need to break these copper pieces so I can separate it. I almost separated them, but down here on the bottom, I just have a few more copper pieces I have to cut loose, and then I'll separate them one and one. And just like that, all of the copper noodles are now removed from the evaporator coil. The next thing is we have to break away this plate here, and I think I could just hammer this way with the air chisel and that should remove it. But the hard part is the fins, getting rid of these aluminum fins. And looking in here, it doesn't even look like the copper is solid copper. It looks like it might have a coating of either aluminum or tin, but I don't know for sure. It might just be the lip that I can see from these fins, so we won't know any further until I cut away at these fins. So let's get right to it. All right, guys, so in another video I made, I used a Sawzall to remove the aluminum fins from the copper tubing. I might actually end up using that, but now that I have this air chisel, I'm actually going to see what I can do using the air chisel. So we might try a few different techniques. Like I have a machete. I use the machete to break away the copper in electric motors, but I think I'm gonna end up using the Sawzall. But let's try a few different ways and see if we can get these aluminum fins off of this copper. So now that we have it cut into sections, or at least I have an idea on how to cut it in sections, that will make it easier to remove all of this. At least I think it will. So let me continue cutting it down into sections and we'll see how it goes. All right, guys, so I think I'm going to go to use the hacksaw because this, I mean, it worked really good the first time, but it was kind of getting jammed up. And I think it was because I wasn't straight and it was hitting the copper. So I think the best way to do it is, like I did in the other video, use the Sawzall. All right, so I'm in the garage. I put the coil inside of a little pan. It's really the only pan I had because this is going to make a really big mess. There's going to be aluminum chips all over the place. And I also put some cardboard down so I don't really have to sweep up my concrete floor when I'm finished. But just like the other video that I said I did probably 2 years ago, I just cut off little pieces and it made it a lot easier to remove these fins off the copper. So I'm going to try to probably go on an angle because that looks like that's the direction that I can go, the line. Because if I go this way, I'll end up cutting through the copper. So I'll have to make my cuts on the angles here. Well, there's one. I have a lot more to go. I think I'll make it in smaller cuts. So I'll do two, and I'll do two, It might make it easier for me to get the aluminum coils out, so we'll see. All right, guys, I am done for today, and my cardboard did a little bit, but I still have quite a bit of mess on the floor. You can see here I didn't finish today. I have about 2 rows in the center still left to do. I got the outer row on both sides, and my battery died in my Sawzall, so I had to use the air chisel for basically the entire thing. If you guys are wondering, I removed 3.53 pounds of copper from this evaporator coil. This is what I got. This is what I still have left to get. About 2 rows. I would probably say it's the same amount or a little bit less than what I already took out today. So figure about 7 pounds total of copper from the evaporator coil. And yes, some people might say it's not really worth it. It did take me about an hour just to get this out of it. It's probably worth just bringing this to the scrapyard and just cutting off the noodles off of the end. So I hope you guys like this. If you did, smash that like button. Leave a comment below. Let me know your way of removing the copper out of evaporator coils. See ya.